So as you're all aware, this webinar is going to revolve around the fate of e-commerce in 2022 and what are the shoppers' expectation from the e-commerce brands, more so specifically the ever-rising D2C brands. So let's move on to knowing a bit more about the panel speakers that we have with us today. Firstly, we have Mr. Abhijeet Arun, who is the Director of D2C Business at Delhivery. We have then Mr. Prakash Kumar with us, who is co-founder and product architect at KartmaX. Then we have Mr. Dilip, who is Director of Brand Partnership at Sezzle in India. And I'm Sanjit from Sezzle India, and I'll be moderating this session. So in today's webinar, we have divided the entire webinar into 3 parts. Firstly, we'll get to know a bit about all the 3 e-commerce enablers that we have with us: Delhivery, KartmaX, Sezzle India. So that becomes the part 1 of the webinar. In part 2, we will have the panel discussion, wherein we'll be asking the questions to our panel speakers. And those questions, they pertain to D2C business owners and at the same time, the shoppers' expectation. Lastly, in the part 3 of the webinar, we'll open the forum and we'll take questions. You can ask any question that you may be having to all the panel speakers. So let's begin. Firstly, we'll start by knowing our first e-commerce enabler, which is Delhivery. Abhijeet, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Sanjit. First of all, very happy New Year to everyone, all the participants, as well as Prakash, Dilip, both of you as well. Great pleasure to be in presence with the panelists, Sanjit, and all the participants that are there. So I'll keep it really very short about Delhivery, right? So most of you might have heard about Delhivery, right? So we are one of the largest supply chain players in India in logistics and warehousing domain. Our journey started a decade back, about 10 years back, and we had started with express parcel delivery, which is anything and everything that you ordered from any of the e-commerce platform. We used to pick those parcels from the likes of these large e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and deliver it to the customers, right? So that's how our journey started. And for the next 2-3 years, we really focused on that market, and we developed a lot of products. Sorry, I thought there was some disturbance. Anyway, I'll continue. So we focused a lot on improving the infrastructure in that domain, plus technology and so on and so forth. So for good 3 to 4 years, we honed our capabilities into this domain, and we became one of the largest player in e-commerce parcel delivery part. And right now also we are the largest at this point of time. If you see, every out of 4 parcels that are delivered to the customer, 1 is routed through Delhivery. If you take out the largest players like Amazon, Flipkart, in non-Flipkart, non-Amazon, Myntra volumes, approximately 50-60% volume is routed through Delhivery. So we enjoy that kind of market share in express. However, having ourselves established into that domain, it really made sense that how we can expand our horizon to other supply chain services, right? And that's where we added a lot of other services in terms of we started doing part truckload business, where a customer, if the customer is not able to form a full truckload, then how do you move the material from point A to point B? Let's say if it's 50 kg, 200 kg, 500 kg, or something of that sort. Then we added, our full truckload business, where larger trucks, where you have larger consignments moving from business to business, point A to point B. We started doing that FTL business as well. In transportation segment, you will see that there is a logical progression starting from express deliveries to part truckload, full truckload, and cross-border movement. Also, we recently, about 2 to 3 years back, we started, wherein anything originating out of India or maybe coming into India is something that we also facilitate, either through ocean freight or maybe air freight is something that we do. Right, so that was a logical progression in the transportation domain. And then coming to warehousing, which is the second piece of supply chain. We also started doing warehousing where, be it B2B warehousing or, e-commerce fulfillment. We though started with e-commerce fulfillment because, we were doing e-commerce parcel movements. We started with e-commerce fulfillment and we established a larger infrastructure of, more than 2.5 lakh square feet, 3 lakh square feet kind of warehouses. Right now, we have our presence in more than 75 odd cities, 35 odd cities, 75 odd warehouses, managing somewhere around 7 to 8 million square feet of warehousing space also. And all of these services now, if you break down the supply chain requirements, majorly you'll have transportation and warehousing. And we are present in both of these domains. And different types of, business use cases, industry use cases is something that we cater to all the requirements in these domains. But the real differentiator that delivery has is from technology perspective, right? You will have a lot of 3P players, contract logistics players who would not have those technical edge, right? So we take pride in calling ourselves a techno 3P, right? So a lot of, for example, the warehousing would be supported by our in-house grown warehousing management system, which is called Godam. All the transportation is supported by transport management system. You can see very nice beautiful dashboards to client panels and all of those things. You can track your shipments. You can know the status of your orders, whether picking has happened, whether dispatch has happened, whether it reached to the customers or not, and all of those things, right? So the real differentiator is technology. And then we have kind of introduced these very new state-of-the-art technology to bring in the efficiency in the supply chain and logistics in India, right? Now, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Abhijeet, there was one query. So
Yeah.
many a time it has been noticed that shoppers, right, they want to buy straight away from the brand, like more so specifically the D2C brand. However, the delivery experience that they expect should be Amazon-like. So all these three things put together, the transportation, warehousing, and technology, which you're mentioning, how can a normal D2C brand starting from say tier 2 or tier 3 city in India give Amazon-like delivery experience to anyone shopping from anywhere in India from their brand?
Right. See, so if you take an example of Amazon or Flipkart, right? So they are obviously a marketplace, right? So they provide you the channel where a vendor or maybe a seller can list the product and sell the products, right? And then there's a logistics and supply chain arm. Amazon, for an example, Flipkart, for an example, they would do their warehousing, their transportation, last mile transportation, all of those things that will be done by them. What delivery brings in over here is that logistics or supply chain part of it. It's white labeling that part of it, which is, let's say, decouple both of these things, right? Your brand or maybe seller is one, and then you take out the technology plus supply chain part of it separately, right? And that's what is happening in the D2C domain at this point of time. There's a lot of brands who have innovated very very nice good product at very good price point, and customers are really looking forward to those products and all. And what brands want is, hey, I am good at developing the product. I have the product, I have developed the product at the right price point, I have a demand, customer wants to buy it, and so on and so forth. But the rest of the other things in terms of logistics or supply chain, how do I do it? Do I do it all by myself? No, I mean the answer is no, because some of these D2C brands could be larger. There are only top 10, 15 brands who have the skill or the might to, let's say, take a large warehouse in any of the location. But a lot of these D2C brands, and the idea of these D2C brands is the same, that they would be to start with very small in scale, right? They might require a warehousing space of, let's say, 1,000 square feet at some location, or maybe even lesser than that. We have clients and customers who come to us and say that, hey, give me just 200 square feet of space, we want to run our business. Now, whether these guys would be able to go out in the market and say that, hey, I want 200 square feet and then talk to the landlord? No, it's not possible. Then the players like Delhivery and other 3Ps come into the picture who have larger space. For example, we have the spread of 35 odd cities, 75 odd warehouses. We carve out that much of space and then onboard or provide that space to the customer, and that's what the differentiator Delhivery brings onto the table. Similarly, when it comes to the last mile, right? We are one of the largest in the last mile. We do somewhere around 1.5 million shipments on a daily basis, on a BAU. If it goes to the sales period and all, this number jumps to 5x, 6x, or even higher. With this scale, we get the efficiency, we get the cost efficiency, data efficiencies, and so on and so forth. Now, if you talk to, let's say, a D2C brand who has an ARR, for an example, of 2 CR a year, 5 CR a year, these guys would not be able to do it all by themselves. So the whole point is, how do you white label all of these things that larger marketplaces like Amazon or Flipkart are doing, and then enable these D2C brands to reach out to the customers directly, right? And that's where it becomes really very important to bring in all the different pieces in terms of be it physical capabilities of warehousing, transportation, and and then technology as well. How do you ensure that you give the right accuracy, precision, TAT benefits, and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much.
Right. So I'll quickly move on to the next one. So some of the very high level numbers that, as I mentioned, that we are number one in express parcel. We deliver about 1 million shipments a day in PAU. Till now, we have touched more than 1 billion customers. That means in last 10 years, we have touched, or we have reached to the customer doors for about more than 1 billion times, which is huge in Indian context. We reach about more than 18,000 pin codes. Now the number would be about 19,000 odd pin codes. Here you might be listening a lot of different, if you're talking to a lot of different 3P players, right? So they would be saying, some of them would be saying that, hey, we reach out to somewhere around 25,000, 26,000, 27,000. But there is a certain caveat to that. Indian Post claims that there are somewhere around 19,200 or 19,000 odd pin codes that are there in the in the country, right? There are a lot of pin codes which are defunct, or maybe they have been merged with the other pin codes. So in actual, there are approximately 19,000 odd pin codes, and we reach to about 99.5%. So if you happen to visit, let's say in mountains somewhere, or maybe in the rural areas of let's say South or Kanyakumari or somewhere, you might find that there might be a very small delivery facility might be lying there, and we might be delivering parcels either through our own facility or maybe the franchisee itself, right? So that's the kind of reach we have. We'll move to the next one. I think I'm not getting too much into the numbers now. Yeah, so I wanted to focus a little bit on the D2C capability part, right? And on the expense of being a little dry over here, but it's really very important to solve the problems which generally a D2C brand are currently grappling with, right? So the question Sanjit asked, that how do you give that edge to D2C brands against an Amazon or a Flipkart, right? What does an Amazon promise to the customer? Amazon promises to the customer that, hey, I'll give you a prime experience, that you order by X, you get delivery by Y, right? We have white labeled that part, wherein all the brands can show it onto their website, promising their customer that, hey, if you order by so and so date or so and so time, you'll get the delivery by so and so date, right? So that's the prime like experience that we give. That means that customer gets an order to delivery tag, that promise that customer gets, right? In general, that would not be possible if the brand is doing all of these things by themselves. Next is, a brand, if you take an example, right, would be selling on their own.com, brand.com. Then there would be multiple other channels like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, or maybe there are multiple channels at this point of time, right? Tata Click, Nykaa, and so on and so forth. When you are selling your product across all of these channels, how do you ensure that your inventory is globalized, not localized? So if I have to take an example, if you have 100 units of inventory, how do you ensure that all of these 100 units of inventory is visible to the customer across all the channels? You don't have to segment it saying that, hey, 20 is dedicated for Amazon, 10 is for Myntra, and so on and so forth, right? So some of these multi-channel order fulfillment is something that we have enabled through the product or the software that we have developed. On the shipping side, How do we do the very intelligent inventory placement? We place the inventory at the right location in terms of your right FC. When the order comes, we allocate the order to the right FC. So these are the kinds of logics that we have defined, which ensures that your transportation cost is lower, your fulfillment cost is lower, and so on and so forth. And then the last one is RTO. In RTO also, we have done a lot of innovations and research where we have AI based RTO predictor, where we excuse me, where we predict basis the addresses, saying that whether this address is prone to more return, or you see a lot of bad consumer behavior from these addresses, and so on and so forth. We inform back to the brand saying that, hey, you might get a return because this seems to be a fraudulent address or fraudulent customers, and so on and so forth, which kind of enables a lower RTO, right? The last one, Sanjit, if you can move to the last one.
Abhijeet, I'll pause
Very
you.
quickly, yeah.
It's a request to all the attendees. Whatever question you have, please put it in the Q&A session. Our panel members will answer all of them once we are done with the panel discussion and the presentation part. Yes, Abhijeet.
Great. So the last one, this is the last slide of, about delivery, right? So how do we actually enable all of these things that I mentioned in the previous slide, right? The first one I mentioned that, we have tight integrations between our warehousing and courier services, which promises a good order to delivery tags. All of these are API based, supported, orchestrated by a very state of the art technology. Then we also enable multi-channel order fulfillment. You can select multiple different couriers. So we don't restrict saying that, hey, if you're using Delhivery's warehouse, then you use Delhivery's last mile services as well, right? You can use, let's say you can route 60% of your shipments through Delhivery, but the rest of the shipments you can route through some XYZ other courier partners as well. Then we have logics defined, AI-based logics defined, which enables how do you place the inventory at right location basis, customer demographics, historical data, and so on and so forth. On the pricing, we have very simplified pricing and so on and so forth, right? And RTO prediction that I mentioned about, we have something called RTO Predictor, which says, which kind of raises a flag to the brand saying that, hey, you might get a the chances of return from this address or this customer is high. Why don't you call this customer and say that whether you actually want this, whether the order is COD or prepaid? Can you convert the COD orders to prepaid order just to ensure that if the customer has already paid, then the delivery anyway will happen, right? And then a bunch of other steps in terms of consistent messaging to the customer that, hey, we are coming, the delivery partner is coming to deliver the material. And then post-purchase experience in terms of dedicated customer service folks who will be answering your questions where the shipment is, if there are any the problem that happens on the purchase on post-purchase, right? So so yeah, in a nutshell, I would say that delivery in supply chain, whatever service that you can think of, be it transportation, warehousing, technology, and so on and so forth, all of these things are available. In D2C, in last couple of years, we have put a lot of brains. We have spoken to a lot of co-founders and the business owners to understand what their requirements are. We are sitting on a bunch of billion customer touch data points. We understand, we have analyzed that, and then kind of curated the D2C proposition in the market at this point of time, which is really, I would say that a differentiated offering for any D2C brand in Indian market, at least at this point of time.
Thank you so much, Abhijeet. It was all well put out, and I'm sure all the attendees would have a clear understanding of everything that Delhivery can do for their D2C business. With that in mind, we have one question. So the question is again revolving around the overall D2C industry. So as you're aware that D2C is booming in India, and if we were to go by the shopping trends, even shoppers are readily buying from the D2C websites. And more so specifically after the COVID incident, this trend is continuously picking up. So the question is, while a D2C brand, they can have seamless platform, they can have an excellent marketing team, but delivery is something that they will still rely on other companies for. So as per you, how important is shipping experience in the D2C business, and how does delivery enable D2C brands to compete against more prominent marketplaces?
Right. See, so as I mentioned sometime back, that you need to decouple the offering that a marketplace does, and then post that you have all these supply chain and logistics related requirements. If you put your feet in a customer's shoes, right? So what do you want as a customer from any of the D2C brands, or for that matter, anything that you go and purchase, right? You would want a very good product, right? Then
Right.
you would want that product at a right price point. And then you would want, if you are purchasing online, then you would want that your purchasing experience is really very seamless, right? These are the three things that maybe a D2C brand or maybe the online platform would be able to cater to. Post that, once a customer has found the right product at price point and likes the product, and then has placed the order, post that it's all supply chain, right? Then what happens, if you look at the overall product journey, what happens is you have kept the product in a certain warehouse. The picker will go pick the order, pack the order, dispatch it, and then it has to reach to the customer in a right condition, without any damage, in right time frame. And post that, if the customer wants to return it, then the return experience should be good. And in this whole journey, if there are certain problems, right? If there are some exceptional movement that happens, or maybe not so happy flow happens, then how do you tackle that, right? So the customer wants speed. That once I have ordered something, I want it. So in post pandemic, the trend is the customer wants the product, I want it now. And then the product, in terms of product, the requirement from the customer is it should be made for me. A lot of customization, a lot of personalization, and then speed is required. Right now you would be hearing the buzzwords in the market that grocery would be delivered in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or maybe sub 30 minutes deliveries, and so on and so forth, right? Now, whether that is required or not, I mean, as a customer, whether I want my grocery to be delivered in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or half an hour, or maybe within a day, that is completely immaterial. It has become a kind of Me Too thing. That okay, I sometimes even if I take my example, I sometimes find fun in ordering something, and then if it gets delivered by 10 minutes, I just keep tracking whether it got delivered in 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes, just to see how this whole thing works, right? So it's obviously it's really very important um, uh, for the logistics and supply chain companies to bring those solutions in place, which enables brand to give the similar experience that an Amazon or a Flipkart, or maybe for that matter any other large e-commerce platform would be able to do, right? And this involves giving a larger network of fulfillment center where you can stock your inventory, because the D2C brands would be smaller. If they work in completely separately, they might not be able to. Let's say if you need, even at one location you need 5,000 square feet, you can do. But if you want to open those warehouses in 4, 5, 6, 7 locations, single entity would not be able to, right? So giving the flexibility to place the inventory at right place. And these are the things that we do: intelligent inventory placement, intelligent order allocation to the right FCs. And in the last mile, obviously we work with anyone and everyone who was at least in India, right? And that gives us the scale. With that scale, we have our infrastructure and technology, and then how we can reach to the customer really, really fast. And this is what we have. So if you look at our warehousing capabilities that I mentioned, that we have pan-India presence, 35 odd cities, which is one of the largest, and then we manage at this point of time 7 to 8 million square feet of warehousing space, including B2C players and B2B players. That's huge for any D2C brand, and they are looking to leverage this kind of muscle power, or this kind of capabilities in anyone. And similarly, if you go to last mile, like we are the largest in last mile, and we have been doing it for now donkey years, and we have all of these things, set processes, hub infrastructure, technology, and so on and so forth. Returns is seamless. You go to the customer doors, give them the texts, OTP based confirmation, and so on and so forth. Do that and deliver to the customer in a fastest way. The recent trend that I mentioned, that sub 10 minutes or sub 30 minutes deliveries, now we have started doing a lot of cloud stores or dark stores for that matter, wherein within the city you will have 30, 40, 50, smaller warehouses where you can store your inventory and reach to your customer within, let's say, few hours. So yeah, I mean, these are the things that from a supply chain perspective we are innovating, we are doing, which will be really very helpful to any D2C brands, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Abhijeet. That answers all the queries comprehensively. Moving on to next, we have Mr. Prakash from KartmaX.
Hey, hi. Hi everyone, and a very happy new year to all of you. So, yes, we are KartmaX. We are an enterprise grade e-commerce platform. In fact, the presentation on screen is a little bit dramatic. So basically, it represents many of the current cards, who are just not as agile or not moving too fast, according to what the consumers would expect them in today. Right? So. So we provide all the solutions that a growing or an enterprise grade, D2C business usually experience, whether it is like mobilizing their inventory from their offline storage points, maybe their offline stores, okay, or so many a times when a D2C business just started with e-commerce and when they are just dabbling with this idea, then only the handshake between the customer and the business is what they are looking for. Once that handshake has happened, and once they are sure that yes, their product is selling, and when they want to grow that business, then a different world of problems are is introduced to them. They see a number of different challenges. Okay, so those are the challenges that KartMax actually addresses, and addresses it very effectively. In fact, we want to claim that we are India's first homegrown enterprise grade D2C platform. Okay, and see, the business, the e-commerce business at large, or for that matter, any business is really people dependent, and at large it depends on how much experience you have or the team has of running, that business. So many a times when the offline businesses start their e-commerce journey, or the merchants, I mean, there are these new age merchants who straight away go into e-commerce without any prior experience into the offline retailing. Okay, so the kind of metrics that they should be looking at, the kind of challenges that they may encounter, okay, the kind of preparedness that they need to ensure for a smooth growing business, they are not ready for that. Okay, so at KartMax, we are trying to address that problem. One of our flagship product is Max AI, which you can consider it like it is Alexa for e-commerce. So so see, every e-commerce business usually has an e-commerce manager, okay, who is on top of every business metric that is happening, that you should be looking at in your business. Okay, so and the job of that e-commerce manager is to identify the problems as and when they are experienced in that business. Okay, and you expect him to be on top of these numbers. We have given you a virtual assistant, which is Max AI, which you can consider your virtual e-commerce manager. Okay, you can speak to it the way you would to an e-commerce manager, and it can give you all the data points, all the relevant data points, for your business, and it is also able to troubleshoot different problems in your business. It can very specifically pinpoint what matrices are causing those problems. Okay. Obviously, the data science and AI is behind this product, which makes it that qualifies it to help you with such problems. Okay, and then it can also take action. So think of a scenario. Let's say on 26th January, let's say a business wants to run a sale. Okay, you can just give instructions to Max AI, and it can set up your entire campaign, your landing pages, it can curate your products, it can enable checkout, it can create discount, everything, and this virtual manager can do that. Okay, so it can also take actions.
Prakash, I
Next
would
slide.
like to pause you here for a moment. So,
Mhm.
since you're mentioning about the platform, the importance of platform in the overall e-commerce, so there's one question which is mainly revolving around this aspect. So, like a customer journey, right? It starts right from the time the shopper lands on the website. In any
Right.
e-commerce, there'll be multiple journey, and the first step towards is like landing on the e-commerce website. So, as per you,
Right.
how important is the role of an e-commerce platform provider in ensuring that the shopper gets a seamless experience? Because what happens is the D2C brands, they spend tons of money in getting the shopper on their website on marketing initiatives, like they pull the traffic from various sources, social media, email, it could be anything. So when a shopper is on the website, like how important is a seamless experience over there? And it will be wonderful if you can highlight few things that KartmaX does to make sure that the shopping is enjoyable.
Right, right, sure. So, good question, Sanjit. So, see, a customer. So, the primary, it is a visual medium, right? E-commerce is a visual medium. So, the moment a customer lands at the website, they want to see the product immediately. I mean, they want the store to open in a moment, like right in a flash. Okay. So any kind of slowness into loading of those visual elements is a big no-no, right? So the platform has to ensure that the experience should start within milliseconds. I mean, not even a second, right? So and at large, this expectation is set from the leading marketplaces. So at CartMax, we ensure that our TTFB is less than 500 millisecond, which is one of the best in the industry and is comparable to Flipkart, Myntra, and Amazon. Okay. So the first thing is, how soon can they start experiencing the website, and how soon can they start, browsing the website, right? So there is a slight difference between these two. The first one is the website should start appearing within sub-seconds, in less than a second. Okay, that is one goal. The next one is within like 2 to 2.5 seconds, the website should be transaction ready, so that customer, let's say if a customer has landed on a product page, then within 2 seconds the page should be ready so that they can start that they can start clicking on that add to cart button, and they can do the checkout. As a rule of thumb, in order to ensure a good experience at the site for the customers, just ensure the from product discovery to complete checkout process, if you can complete it in less than 30 seconds, end to end, okay, then at large you can be sure that the platform is giving the right experience to the customer. Okay. Now, there's one thing about experiencing. How would you know that your customers are getting good experience from your website? One is to experience it firsthand. Okay, do random checks at your website. Okay, and just see that if you are able to complete the checkout, the end-to-end transaction in less than 30 seconds. And the second part is there is a human limitation of how many times you can experience it first time. Okay. The second part is you need to rely on your data and insights. Okay. Look at what tools are saying. Okay. So like there are so many even third-party tools that give you very specific numbers. So they try to paint a picture of customer experience in terms of numbers. So be it Google Analytics, okay, be it even your ad platforms. Okay. So now Core Web Vitals, Google introduced Core Web Vitals, and the points and the numbers mentioned in that Core Web Vitals algo If the site is doing good on that, then you can say with some degree of confidence that yes, just by looking at those numbers, if those numbers are right, then you can say that at large your customers are experiencing a good e-commerce journey at your site. Okay. Same goes with your ad platforms. Okay, if they are scoring your landing pages, they are giving a good number, then yes, those numbers also speak volume about your potential customer journey. So one part is experience it firsthand. Okay, and the second one is rely on different data sources. Okay, and assess it objectively through data points.
Right, you rightly put, Prakash. So, as we understand, speed is of utmost importance in e-commerce, and if consumers are expecting speed, so brands should be ready to provide the same.
Quick one from me. Sorry to interrupt. This 30-second that you mentioned, right? Is that a kind of has become an industry standard where, and in what scenario you will achieve that, where you have all the addresses saved, maybe card details saved and everything. You know what product to buy, and that's how you run this.
Right, right. So it is kind of a litmus test once the customer intent is set. Okay, let's think about a returning customer. Okay, they have to, they want to purchase a party wear. They have to attend a party tomorrow. Okay, they know what product they have to buy. Okay, the moment they land at the site, okay, and if they are sure that which product they have to buy, they should be able to complete the checkout within 30 seconds. So once an intent is established, from that intent it should be frictionless. So it is more
Right.
a litmus test of how many hoops they
Right.
have to jump to complete their checkout, right?
Yeah. Got it. Thanks.
Sanjit, next
Thank you,
next
Prakash.
slide, please.
Yes, yes, that answers it. So, yeah, we are on to a new slide.
Yeah, move forward, please. So Max AI is one product from us. Then hope we will get chance to tell you a little more about KartmaX. Okay, but these are the brands who actually some of the brands who run their e-commerce on KartmaX, and there are a suite of a good number of other brands too who we are under NDA and we can't reveal their names. Next slide, please. Some of the numbers that we have witnessed on our platform. Okay, so 300 plus million e-commerce, experiences or journey that we have completed on KartmaX till now. Next slide, please. Okay. Now here, we say that we help you do e-commerce better than the other platforms, and how we do that. So basically, we get you better results. Okay, results that you can measure. Okay. Now, how we help you get better numbers, better results, is by unlocking the entire journey and trying to influence it with technology at each of these core segments, be it product discovery and checkout, or be it post sales experience. Okay, so just going through it quickly. One is we make your marketing more effective. Okay, by we just by our automated integration with your marketing channels, be it Google, be it Facebook, be it Instagram. Okay, we ensure that you never run ads. I mean, just talking about a few use cases. You never have to manually check if your ads are landing upon out of stock products, okay, or if they are whether they are whether your latest product collection is automatically pushed to these ad channels or not. Okay, so these things happen automatically. Just one use case there. So we make your marketing more effective. Then once the customer has landed on the platform, then we ensure that their product discovery experience is just fantastic and their checkout is just good. Okay, now I would want to highlight one specific point there about checkout. Okay, now see, like in India, or like most of the existing e-commerce products, be it like I will name a few. like Magento and WooCommerce and Shopify, etc. So these were developed into Western market, right? So where people were more email friendly, right? But in India, if you look at the tier 3, tier 4 towns, the small towns in India, and the different age groups of your customer audience, they are not that email friendly. Now, if your checkout always begins with, always requires an email address, then yes, there is a significant drop at your checkout, at your checkout pages, right? So we introduced a mobile first checkout, okay, and what we witnessed across all our brands was that nearly 45% arrest, drop we had arrested through just by introducing a mobile first checkout. Okay, because people are more friendly with mobile and checking their SMS compared to an email. Okay. The another such use case is about the product discovery. Okay. Now the product discovery at your site has to be very seamless. And again, if you look at the different demography, then the way people recognize a product in metro cities is slightly different from the way people recognize the same product in tier 3 or tier 4 towns. Okay, so one example here, maybe yeah, in metro cities we call it a slipper. Okay, in small towns we call it a chappal, right? So such product synonyms, okay, or the different words that refer to the same product should be recognized, okay, and the platform should be intelligent enough and should auto evolve these discovery terms, okay. So the platform here at KartmaX, we help discover the new terms through which products are searching the try to discover the products. Okay, and many a times we always establish, the AI already establishes the random words with the products that they are looking at. Okay, and then it suggests to the ecom manager so that they can formally connect these two pieces, like the random word with the new products, so that the product discovery part is gets better for the next set of customers. Okay.
Prakash, over here
And
regarding adding synonyms to a particular product. So is the AI going to suggest various synonyms and then the admin has to choose which are the most relevant ones, or will the AI only take a call?
right. So it is right now, so some part is done by AI and some part is left for a human curation. Okay. So I will give you an example. So let's say in your analytics section, you will find that, what were the keywords, some of the words that people were trying to search for, but it resulted into new products. Okay. Now, at large, the customer is intelligent enough. If they are browsing a footwear site, then obviously they are looking for a footwear product, right? And if your collection is good enough, then whatever they were trying to search for should have been discovered by them, right? But if the system did not list those products what they were looking for, then the system will present you with the list of words, okay, that that resulted into no product found kind of page. But out of, let's say, if the system has presented you like 10 such words that people were looking for, but they couldn't find a result. But out of those 10 words, maybe for 5 words, the system already got some kind of, they established an intent that, okay, they were looking for these products. It resulted in no product found, but then they went through your regular, browsing hierarchy through your navigation menus, and they finally checked out for these products. So it looks like these words refer to these products. Okay, so many a times the AI system also suggests you basis those data, right? But at the end of the day, right now it needs to be supported by some human action where you say that, okay, yes, you found it right. These words represent these products. Yep.
Great, that answers it, Prakash.
Sure. Then in post-sales experience, the KartmaX just helps you. So ensuring a great post sales experience is important for your repeat sales. Okay, and that includes your return, refund, exchange, etc., and product reviews and upsells. So in return and refund, this is one area where the D2C businesses are usually, a little left behind compared to the marketplaces. So the consumers today expect the same level of returns experience that they experience at the marketplaces, right? So KartmaX helps you give the same level of experience, right? And then it supports you with a lot of business analytics and insights. And then yes, see, at the end of the day, it is all about like efficiency, and we help you run your business with lesser human resources and more effectively at a lesser cost. These are the different products, okay, that is part of the KartmaX suite of products. Now here we want to highlight the word headless, because it is not always necessary. Let's say if you are on a different platform and you want to leverage KartMax, not necessarily you have to really ditch your current platform and then move to KartMax. Okay. KartMax is actually a suite of products. So wherever your current e-commerce system is running, whether it is Shopify or Magento, our piece of tools can plug into that particular platform and will give you the considerable results, right?
Thank you so
That's all.
much, Prakash. That answers all the queries the audience may have had as far as the platform, importance of platform in the overall D2C business was concerned. Moving on to next, we have Dilip, who is from Sezzle, India.
Hello guys, good afternoon. Wish you happy new year to everyone. And great insight, Prakash, in terms of saying that 30 seconds experience to a consumer to complete the checkout was very impressive. I would like to carry forward with that topic, 30 seconds checkout, right? Because obviously all the decision happens in a product page, and how seamless it is for an end consumer to understand and how the buying decision happens in the product page. So when it comes to Sezzle, right, essentially we are financially enabling the consumers to buy now and pay later. Obviously 5 years back, a lot of audience visit marketplaces or even interact with marketplaces because they get a lot of discounts, a lot of options, and at finally they have a lot of payment way to pay that purchase as well, right? So but today, right, they expect similar kind of experience when they land to a direct selling branch. So when they visit a brand, they expect fast checkout experience. Then again, they expect something to hold a product which can help them to pay through an EMI option or a split payment option. So this is the area what Sezzle is focusing, where we facilitate consumers to buy now and pay later. To give a quick high level overview about the company, Sanjit, can you just move to the next slide, please?
Sure.
So basically, we are a US based fintech. We launched in India last year. We are headquartered in Minneapolis. Currently, we are one of the global leaders in buy now pay later space, and we work with 40,000 plus brands globally. This might be direct selling brands or retail brands which has offline presence and trying to establish their omni channel. And also to give you an insight, we are also listed at Australian Stock Exchange, and we have filed our filings for NASDAQ. So this is a quick high level snap from the company perspective. Now I would like to jump in to discuss about the problem areas as a solution, how we are trying to solve. So we are all familiar with entirely EMI. India is known for EMI. Everybody loves EMI to buy things. And obviously to access this EMI, every individual either needs to be a working employed. And obviously today bank has relaxed that and they are facilitating to individual self-employed as well, but they have their own stringent process of giving these options. But if you notice, right, for a mass Indian population like this, having many banks, having a lot of fintech getting launched, even then, right, we are not able to facilitate credit for huge amount of audience in the India, because our population is close to 900 million based on RBI data is what it says, and 900 million people have access to bank accounts and they deal with banks. But unfortunately, if you see how many people have access to credit card or anything in India, it's hardly, I would say 30 to 40 million people have access to credit card. Huge amount of people, they don't have access to credit. Thanks for smartphone coming into play, and also UPI coming into play, where it is helping brands today to interact on smartphones on their direct selling website and buy through various options. But now, how do we make those shoppers to buy more frequently on direct selling brands and also buy more than just buying one or two products, is what something Sezzle is trying to solve. Secondly, right, in the entire millennials age group, right, when it comes to buying online, today the entire trend in India is going on COD. And obviously, Abhijeet brushed about RTOs there, and also you guys brushed about RTOs, right? So COD has been one of the areas where direct selling brands introduce as a payment option. And they wanted to drive their conversions. They do this. But unfortunately, what happens in COD, right, it has its own challenges in terms of cancellations and returns, right? So how do we try this entire COD purchase to a prepaid purchase for a brand, is what something Sezzle is working towards. See, again, right, this is a win-win scenario for end consumer and also entirely to the brand. When you facilitate something like a buy now, pay later option, let's say I'm going to buy something worth of 2,000 rupees. We are trying to facilitate that purchase by just paying 25% of the cart size. So let's say they are going to own that product by just paying 500 rupees, right? So this gives the confidence, first of all, to the end consumer to make that decision of purchase immediately. Secondly, also, right, it is helping them to increase their purchasing power on the website. Hey, I'm just paying 25%. Why don't I add with one of the product shoe, let me add one of the flippers as well, just to give an example. So this is influencing them to increase their basket size. So when the basket size is getting increased, what's happening? It is helping brands to increase their AOV. Secondly, it is also helping them to secure the orders from the prepaid standpoint. At last, right, this is one of the areas everybody is trying to tackle: cart abandonment rate. People drop out because the journey of the experience of loading the website might be a little lengthier. 30 seconds experience might not be given for all the websites, right? Sometimes they might get an experience of taking time to load, or maybe it might be their internet issues as well. But at the end of the day, what happens is they drop out because, oh, it's not working out. It's not loading. Second reason they might drop out because, hey, I don't know this brand, and then I saw this ad on Instagram, and I'm going to buy on these brand for the first time, but they are doing completely prepaid. They don't have COD. How do I pay? So this will also hesitate a buyer to not complete their purchase successfully, right? That's one of the areas we come into play. See, now reducing the cart abandonment is one of the area where a price sensitive shopper should not drop out. And secondly, they should not drop out because of trust issue, where most of the people who are interacting with direct selling brands, they are interacting for the first time by seeing their ads or probably by word of mouth. But if there is no convenience of COD, they are dropping off. And that's where our buy now, pay later solution come into play to reduce that dropout percentage, which places key significance in entirely of reducing the dropout. Finally, right, EMI are there. Why this buy now, pay later? See, EMI is more of an installment for high ticket values. Let's say if you're buying something worth of 15K, 20K, it makes sense to have a monthly split. But when a shopper is buying something with a lower ticket value of 2K, 5K, or let's even take 1,000 rupees, they want very seamless, easy understanding solution which can approve them on real-time basis. That's what Sezzle does. Based on their debit card and credit card, we try to facilitate these offerings on the D2C websites and help the consumers to buy more. In today, right, you would have heard in last 1 or 2 years, we all have seen how the situation has impacted every one of us mentally, financially, everywhere. So entirely cash flow, right? Cash flow was the crunch in the last 2 years to everyone. So now we want to spend 2,000 rupees worth on any of the website, or probably anything. If they have to buy, they think a lot. So this is the end solution what we are providing to the consumers. So they don't have to think. They can come on any D2C channels. They can buy what they like without thinking whether they have cash in hand. They can own anything by just paying 25% with seamless way, without asking for their income proof, without asking for their PAN details or anything related to their CIBIL history. So we are making the credit access to them based on their underwriting of their debit card and credit card, which has been done through our proprietary algorithm, which is the seamless way today to access credit on real-time basis. And I think this is helping direct selling brands as a facility to help their consumers to buy more on the website. At last, yeah, please go ahead.
Dilip, there's one common misunderstanding regarding the buy now, pay later. One is that the merchants take up the risk. Is it true? And if not, like, is there any risk associated for merchants if they're offering buy now, pay later to their shoppers?
Okay, good question, Sanjit. See, again, right, the entire credit facility is given to the end consumer by Sezzle or any other banks, or it might be any other solutions out there, right? Obviously, here, merchant is trying to facilitate on their website as an interest-free option. And merchant is taking the ownership of, let's say, the commercial wise, there is an impact for them to pay to the lenders. But from a risk wise, there is no impact, because that is the value which we bring to the table to the D2C brands, where we bear the risk and you drive your sales. Risk is on Sezzle or risk is on any lenders. We drive it. And again, you take care of your top line increase, you drive your conversions, you work on your metrics like boosting your COD orders to prepaid orders, increase your AOVs. These are the focus area for the D2C brands where our solution will help. They don't have to worry about the risk. We take care of the risk. So that's the reason I would say a brands or a e-commerce business pay us in terms of taking that risk factor in play.
Thank you so much, Dilip. Yes, that answers the query.
So this is a quick snap to show how easy it is to access to any of the users on their smartphones. The entire thing is, we are talking about entire seamless experience. That's exactly in front of you guys here, how seamlessly they can check out without taking much cumbersome data points, asking them to enter. It's all very minimal information what we are asking them to complete through the checkout process. Yeah, I think fairly the idea here is what we forcefully see ourselves in India. Buy now, pay later adoption in the coming years is going to be very immense. Though we have seen as an early bird facilitating this in the last 1 year, a lot of consumers love this because of transparency, how seamless it is. And at last, right, it is also going to be one of the preferred payment mode in the coming years. So yeah, I think this is one of the key areas we are trying to work with direct selling brands and retailers as an enabler piece. And Yeah, I think fairly that's it from my end. Any questions? Happy to take. Here is a quick, I would say, the partners who have been associated with last 1 year, their sentiments. One of the key difference, I would say, we are not a EMI solution. EMI is different, split payment solution is different. And the complexity comes when you are going for an EMI, because entire EMI journey accessing that has its own processes in play. And now a lot of lenders do digitally as well, but at the same time they ask for certain information which has to be handy on end consumers end when they are doing the shopping, which might take, I would say, backseat for a consumer. Okay, I don't have this information. Why should I complete this now? It is not helping them to make that faster decision. So our entire seamless way of doing checkout is helping them to make that decision. So that's where our sentiments is coming from our partners, how different we are.
Dilip,
So next slide.
Dilip, there's one question that is Sezzle open to newer brands, considering that having less product inventory, or could be like really new with less products. So can such merchant who are pretty new to the industry enable Sezzle on their website?
It's a good question. Definitely right. We want to work with a lot of growing D2C brands, or probably launching D2C brands. Definitely we facilitate that options on the brands which are newly getting launched. But as a validation of business perspective, we try to understand you guys better, what kind of products you are trying to sell, or probably what is your business model, whether you're drop shipping, you're reselling. And there is few risk checklist what we follow. Obviously that checklist is covered. Definitely we work as a pilot with you guys for 90 days to see how the business model works. And yeah, we are not saying no to our startups of D2C brands. We would love to work with you guys, but yeah, we also follow through certain checklist. And obviously if that falls under the criteria of what we are looking for, we do a pilot with you guys.
Thank you so much, Dilip. That answers it. Moving on to next, we have around 3 questions, one for each of our panel members. But before that, there are a few questions which the attendees have asked in the Q&A session and in the chat box. The first one, I think it's for delivery. Abhijeet, the person wants to know, like, how do we send multiple quantity? Since the question reads as how send multiple quantity, I'm assuming it's for delivery.
Multiple quantity. See, so the question is rightly understood by me. Maybe what the person wants to ask is, if in an order you have multiple quantity, how do you send them, right? So the answer to this is, it depends on where the inventory is sitting, right? So if a customer orders something, and if let's say, take an example that it's a 3-item order, you have 3 different pieces or 3 different units in an order. If all the 3 different units are in the nearest warehouse, so again, let me take an example. If somebody orders a particular 3-item order in Bombay, right? And if the Bombay warehouse has all of those 3 inventory, then in the warehousing, all the 3 items will be picked and packed into one packaged order, and will be shipped to the customer. So the customer would be receiving only one packaged order, unless there is a different type of packing requirement is there. So let's say there are 2 items which are apparel. There is 1 item which is, let's say, a home decor product, which would be fragile. Then you'll need to pack it differently. You will need to put those protective materials and so on and so forth. So based on that, the decision is taken that how do you pack them and dispatch them. The next question is, if the inventory is not lying in the same warehouse, right? So let's say 2 out of 3 items are available in Bombay, but 1 item is not. 1 item is, let's say, available in Bangalore, or so and so, right? So in that case, again, we decided with the brand the logic that whether we send these 2 items which are available in warehouse 1 as one package, and then the second one, which is available in Bangalore, as the second package. So there are two different packages will be sent to the customer, and it might arrive to the customer at two different point of times. So that is also possible. The other possibility is we completely ditch and then find out a warehouse where all the three items are available, and then do one order packaging and then send it to the customer. So all of these decision points are available with the brand, that how do they want to handle it and what kind of customer experience they want to give. Whether one order or it can be split.
I hope that answers Mr. Naeem. Moving on to next, I have another question for you, Abhijeet. So it is from the point of view of seamless delivery experience. We all know that a seamless delivery experience makes a customer happy. That is a given. And it can also enable brands like from where the customer has ordered to earn maybe say shoppers goodwill, for instance. So can you let us know your thoughts on this and how delivery ensures a seamless delivery experience for shoppers and also reducing the RTO for the sellers?
Right, yeah. So good question. I think one of the points that if you interact with a lot of brands, right, one of the hated words would be returns and RTO, because it's a loss of sales. You have incurred that logistics cost and so on and so forth. Everything you have done, it reaches the customer. Either it's returned after the customer accepts the order, or maybe the customer does not accept the order. It becomes comes back to the origin. And to handle this, RTO is a bigger question to answer, right? And then other panelists, Dilip also mentioned a few things which can enable to reduce the RTO percentage. For example, he spoke about how you can convert the COD orders to prepaid orders. Now, previously, the customers and the brands had the option of converting the COD orders to a full prepaid order. Let's say 1,000 rupees order will be converted from 1,000 rupees COD to 1,000 rupees prepaid. By the split methodology, you are still giving customer that, hey, you pay only 250 bucks now. Your liability is lesser, but you still have some kind of stickiness to that order, right? So these are the things that also will improve the RTO. But from a supply chain perspective, the experience, post-purchase experience, is something which is really very important, right? Once the order is placed on the platform, it becomes really very, very important that how do you communicate to the consumer, to the customer, right? The first solution is you deliver it fast. And there has been many research which says that the more the time you give to the customer to think about it, more the probability of cancellation, right? If you give 2 days, 3 days to the customer, then the chances of the customer changing the mind is really very high. So the first is speed. You deliver it as fast as possible, right? And here we are doing a lot of stuffs, our express deliveries, air deliveries, and then the new thing would be opening a lot of cloud stores and dark stores where you can reach to the customer within a few hours, right? So first of all, reach as fast as you can so that you give lesser time to the customer to think twice about it, right? That's number one. Secondly, to improve the experience for the brand, right? Some of the things that Prakash also mentioned, that what we do is we check the history of the customer. As I said, that we have touched about 1 billion customers in past decade, right? So we have that much of data. We don't use it for any monetizing purpose, but we do have this information which enables our AI team to predict that, hey, this address, it seems that it could be a fraudulent order, or maybe there is a very high chance of a return from this customer. So what we say to the brand is, we raise a flag and say that, hey, this seems to be a little dicey. Why don't you call the customer and check? So there would be a customer service guy giving a call whether you really ordered it, do you really want it, and then there would be certain attempts of converting that COD order to prepaid orders and so on and so forth. But coming back to the point of what kind of experience does the customer get, the continuous communication is really very important. When the order is dispatched from the warehouse, you send a text to the customer saying that, hey, the order has been dispatched, so that the customer is completely aware of the product journey that the customer has ordered, right? That's one. And then secondly, when it reaches to the city of the customer, when it's out for delivery, you send a text saying that, hey, your delivery partner, the courier partner is coming to deliver the material. Give a call to check whether you are available or not. Do a lot of, we do normally 3 attempts to deliver the parcel to the customers. Let's say the customer is not available first time, second time, so we do a 3 attempts. Then we keep communicating with the brand. So that's the kind of experience we give to the customer on a post purchase experience basis. And post that, the another important thing is, even if it goes to RTO or returns, right? Now, this is not really very important this is partially important for customer, but very important for the brand, that how do you handle that overall return part of it, right? For brands, it's really very important that the return material becomes a part of the inventory as soon as possible, so that it can be resold, right? You can realize the value of the material. For customers, it's important that you go and pick it up really very quickly, and then give that, the handshake that happens between the customer and the delivery guy, right? That should be really very efficient. You go check from the customer whether the customer is returning the right material or not. The field executive or the delivery boy should be, capable enough to check very easily. It should not go into any kind of dispute, hey, you are not returning the right material, and so on and so forth. So give the image, give those kind of training that, the field executive can take certain decisions on the go, and that improves the customer experience from that perspective, and which helps, reduce the RTO also. I mean, if you keep communicating to the customer, do all these, address validation, address fixation, and then keep raising the flags to the brand, it helps, reduce the returns part of it. So I would say speed, do AIs to do the address validation, customer verifications, and so on and so forth, convert COD orders to prepaid orders, and then do a right number of attempts to deliver the material is something which goes from a customer experience as well as RTO perspective.
Thank you so much, Abhijeet, for answering that comprehensively. One important aspect that you mentioned was speed, and that is really the key. In continuation of the same, I have a question for you, Prakash. So as you are aware that, just a minute. Yeah, there was one research conducted by Google and Swasta. So that particular research, right, it showed that over half of the website visitors would drop off if it took too long for a website to load. So can you please let us know
Right.
your thoughts on this? And also, how can the newer age e-commerce companies, more so specifically the D2C companies,
Sorry, we are losing you a bit, Sanjit.
sorry?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Okay. So what I was saying is that there was a research which was conducted by Google and Swasta. So that particular research, it showed that over half of the website visitors would drop off if it took too long for a website to load. So can you please let us know your thoughts on this? And also, how can the newer age e-commerce companies, more so specifically the D2C companies with, in most of the cases with limited resources, ensure that they are not losing out on their website visitors because of the speed?
Sorry, Sanjit, I lost you for that last sentence.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, what I was asking is like, how can newer age e-commerce companies, the D2C companies, ensure that the website traffic that they are bringing, they're not losing out on them because of something as small as, like, say, website speed? Because speed is of crucial essence, and there have been multiple researches around it that if the website is taking too long to load, over half of the people would drop off. So if people are
Sure.
dropping off, means it's definitely leading to lower conversion.
Right. Sure. So yes, Sanjit, the reference that you give to that report, that's right. Even from our experience, what we have witnessed is like and you can call it the e-commerce average. So if we have when we aggregated data across like 50 plus brands when they came to us, and the bounce rate that is visible within GA. So bounce rate is actually that metric that when a customer, let's say, reached your site and they just bounced back whether back to the ad platform or to Google, right? So the for paid marketing channels, the industry average could be around like 50 to 55%. The more aggressive marketing campaigns you run, the higher the bounce rate goes. Okay, because that also says about that. In case of aggressive marketing campaigns, perhaps the marketing is going to not so relevant audience to, and in such case, the bounce rate really goes up. What really matters is, what you should be really concerned about any merchant is the bounce rate for the organic traffic. Okay, if for the organic traffic it is anywhere above than 30%, okay, then usually that means that the platform is not doing a good job in presenting that customer experience, that e-commerce experience to the customers. Okay, so the bounce rate for organic customers should be always less than 30%. Okay, now having said that, consider these as the market average. Okay, now in order to correct it, there could be a few specific call to actions. One is first to really identify that where that drop is actually happening. Okay, so you can look at source wise, you can look at landing page wise, and just figure out that where the drop is happening the most. Okay, many a times you will find that the homepage of your website is just okay in case of the bounce rate, but the moment it is about the product landing pages, okay, or the listing pages, the drop rate is usually high. If that is the case, then you can infer that maybe the platform is not doing a good job. Okay, because usually your listing pages are more compute intensive exercise for the e-commerce platform to generate. Okay, so maybe they are not doing that great in serving such pages. Okay, so there are two parts to it in terms of the correction. One is to first be aware that where the drop is happening. Okay, and the second one is to look at the right sources of data points. Okay, and the right metrics. Okay, so that you can improve them. The right metrics could be your core web vitals by Google. Okay,
Right.
your ad scores. Okay, and your bounce rates that Google Analytics shows. Okay, so if you find an alarmingly higher bounce rate in these data metrics, then you need to speak to your developers and correct the platform, right? So many a times you can ask the developers if you are on some of the monolithic piece of software like Magento or WooCommerce, that how can you decouple the front end part of your website from the back end? Okay, and that is really very important, because once you are able to decouple the front end from the back end, then you can really effectively use the cache layer, and you can think about going serverless. So one relevant question for your developer would be that can we effectively decouple the front end so that whatever happens in my back end is not impacting the experience of my customers. So, for example, maybe your sales team was trying to pull a report for last 2 years. Okay, some very complex report with a time period of 2 years. Now that would be a very compute intensive exercise. And if your website is on some legacy software like Magento or WooCommerce, then it is going to impact your front end experience to a large extent, right? So you should ideally aim to decouple your front end from the back end.
Rightly put, Prakash. So I believe everyone who had queries around the website scheme now have some clarification about the same, and why it's important to make sure that your D2C e-commerce website in 2022 is extremely fast, because shoppers won't wait for a website to load. It should be really fast for them. Whenever they are browsing the website, the content should be there. That is the expectation from the shopper side. Moving on to next, we have a question for Dilip. So So, Dilip, it is a well-known fact that in the Indian e-commerce context, COD for a very large period of time is the preferred choice, and currently also a lot of the users they are preferring COD. So, and COD also is not very good for the sellers because it adds to their operational cost, and at times is also one of the key reason behind a very high RTO. Because in COD, the buyer has not committed to that purchase unless and until he has paid for that order. So, is there a middle ground? Like that's a win-win for both the e-commerce merchants and also the shoppers. And can BNPL be the answer for that?
Absolutely, yes. I would say strongly because of two reasons. If you notice, most of the brands today to secure a COD, they give additional discounts apart from their regular site discounts. Probably, if you see in the checkout, they might say, do a prepaid purchase, own 5% or 10% additional discounts, right? And obviously this also sometimes might come like a surprise element for the customers, and than choosing COD, since their buying price is coming low, right? They might opt for a prepaid. That's one approach which they are already doing. But what I forcefully see here is it's not only that. Looking at current scenarios and situations, if we further go ahead and also help them to split their payments, is it is making more convenience, first of all, and secondly, what it is also helping them to get some additional opportunity to buy something more as well on the websites. I think it's all about how the brand is going to position this. It's not just if brand is thinking, I'm going to give this one facility like we have Visa, Master, okay, I'm going to have multiple buy now pay laters. It might not work out. Here it's something they have to influence their buyers by educating them why they have to opt this. And while doing this, also we are also trying to educate this offerings on the product pages, so it's very transparent for the entire shoppers who lands to the website to understand the model. And I feel that in the coming days, right, the adoption would be very high towards BNPL if the brands are positioning this in the right way.
Thank you so much, Dilip. I have a request to all the attendees. If you have any question to any of the panel members, please go ahead and ask them in the Q&A section. We are taking all the questions now. Dilip, there's one question for Sezzle. So it says, how does Sezzle help in extending credit to the shoppers not having a credit or a debit card?
Okay. See, if you notice, I think I briefed on in our earlier, I would say, overview. In India, right, one of the key areas is our population is huge, right? And as I mentioned, we have close to 900 million people who have bank accounts today, based on RBI studies. And in this 900 million having bank accounts, it's equivalent to 900 million people having debit cards, right? Obviously, they give debit cards to each and every consumer who enroll with them. And I think we are currently facilitating this on the option of that debit card as well. I think pretty much the mass population is covered there. And also we are thinking of trying to facilitate this with UPI. We are working on it. I think something is there down the line. But yeah, we are thinking the other ways as well, how we can facilitate this. But UPI is there in our mind, but not sure when it is going to be live. We might have it in the coming couple of quarters.
Thank you so much, Dilip. We have another question. I think it's addressed to Delhivery. It says, I'm an e-commerce service provider and offer fulfillment services as well. How can you offer D2C services for the sellers for whom I manage e-commerce businesses for? Is there any way an amalgamation can happen? Mr. Shirin, is it for Delhivery or KartmaX?
See, I think, yeah. So he says either. So I'll answer my part maybe here. Um, Mrs. Shireen, if you're already providing the fulfillment services, right, so in that case, what we can partner to do is maybe if you have last mile requirement where whatever is dispatched from your warehouse and taking the logistics part of it, last mile part of it, that's where we can help you with. We can however, we also provide the fulfillment services, but we do standalone last mile services also. So we can take care of fulfillment. We can take care of your last mile requirement, returns requirement, and so on and so forth. So that is something that we can look into.
Okay. Prakash, would you want to add anything to this?
Sorry, I couldn't get that question. So if Mr. can expand on that a bit.
So basically, from the question, it looks like the person provides e-commerce service and offer their D2C services for the sellers. So I think they're acting like a mini marketplace. So what they want to understand is, can technology help them amalgamate everything? Can it make their work much more easier?
Sure. So if Machine, if you have already figured out the tech for your sellers, then great. But if any specific challenges where you think you can leverage technology to give a better solution to your sellers, then maybe we can help you with that.
Thank you, Prakash. So is there any other question, folks? If yes, please feel free to ask them. If not, we are nearing the end of the webinar.
Okay, Sanjit, there is one question unanswered. I think Sonia Sharma has raised this question to Sezzle in terms of, I would say, completing the order, I would say, delivered to J&K area. So just to jump in and address that. So first of all, right, Sezzle, we are more like a payment facilitators to the D2C brands here. And obviously, once the order is placed, your payment mode is going to be from Sezzle. And obviously, entirely from a delivery standpoint, or probably reaching to you guys, it's one of the responsibility owned by the brand. So obviously, if you are not able to get delivery on time, either you go to the brand first and raise a request there to understand why the delivery has not happened on time. They would give you the insights. And still, if you don't see any kind of address happening from the brands, always you come to Sezzle support and you raise the ticket there, and we would interact with the brand to see what is the issue and address those queries. But Sezzle does not own the responsibility of delivery. We own the responsibility of payments. I hope that addressed the question of Sonia. Yeah, I think Sanjit, I pretty much we have covered the questions raised in Q&A here.
Okay. So if we do not have any more question, I think we'll call it for the day then. Thank you so much to all the attendees and the panel members for being a part of this webinar. And we have an incentive, basically three to be precise. So there's going to be one offer from each of the three companies who are part of this webinar. So from Delhivery, we have an offer which is 10% discount for the first 3 months, and it is exclusively for the audience who are part of this webinar. Then from KartmaX, we have an offer to get 30-minute free consultation session with KartmaX growth consultants. That is for free. Then from Sezzle, we have 50% discount on subvention charges for 2 months. Now, all the offers that I just spoke, we'll be sending an email to you with all the details. And you can then reach out to any of the partners you would like to. So thank you once again. And we wish you all a very great day ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sanjit. Thank you,
Thank you
Prakash.
all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijeet. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Prakash. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.